Howdy, fellow Vine Trippers. I wanted to take just a moment before the show starts to let you know about a great website called Texas Wine Lover. They can be found at txwinelover.com. And they have a comprehensive website that can become your go-to site for information on Texas wines, winemakers, and the wineries that can be found in this state. They even have a phone app that you can download, and that will help you plan your route to create your own wine trip. So make sure and check them out at txwinelover.com. Welcome to Texas Under Vine, an exploratory podcast to scout out the best that Texas wine country has to offer. I'm your wine guide, Scott, and I'm here to lead you on an auditory expedition to the vineyards and wineries across the great Lone Star State. Each episode will cover a different vineyard, winery, or wine-related business operating in Texas. You'll hear interviews, descriptions, and details about each location that will excite you to visit and experience them for yourself. Ready to plan a wine tour? Use these episodes to choose the most interesting spots for you and your friends to check out. Most of all, enjoy hearing about the rapidly growing wine industry in the state and what makes our wines and wineries the best. Howdy, fellow Vine Tripper. Welcome to episode 1 for Texas Under Vine. Today, I'm excited to bring you all of the details of a recent excursion I made to the Texas Hill Country, where I visited the 12 Fires Winery outside of Johnson City, Texas. So this winery was started way back in 2018 by 3 college buddies. They all went to Texas A&M University. They were friends in college and knew each other, but they kind of all went their separate ways and came back together a little bit later in life after each one of them having their own careers in different areas to form this venture to start this winery. And I think they've done a great job with it. It's next door to the Wine Castle. As you're headed down the famous Wine Road 290, you'll see that castle kind of on the right-hand side if you're going west. And their entrance to their property, their destination is just inside of that. So as you turn like you're going to the castle, you'll actually go to the right to where the 12 Fires location is. And it's kind of back nestled into these trees and kind of this oak grove. So it kind of looks like you're going nowhere for a little bit of time. Then it opens into a parking lot. They've got great signs, lots of places kind of showing you where to go and what to do and which is the entrance and the exit and so forth. And you come to this parking lot. And then there's a little path that leads you down into this grove of trees where the 12 Fires Winery is and their tasting room. So I had a great visit, went out and had a great time. It was fun to go into their new tasting room, and I walked in, and one of the owners, Zach, immediately when I began speaking to him, before we did anything else, he had already grabbed a glass and was pouring me a glass of wine to try. They were having a wine pickup party that day for their wine club members, and they were releasing a brand new sparkling wine called Whoop. And he poured me a glass of that to try as we were just initially beginning to talk and introducing myself and so forth. Very friendly, very open, and they're very great with their wines. Got a chance to walk around, kind of take a look at the property. Had a chance, you'll hear in a few minutes, I got to interview all 3 of the owners. So I'm going to, in the interview, kind of splice through various parts of those interviews from the 3 different people as I asked similar questions to them. But you'll hear from Zach Hugie and Duke Meadows and Mike Nance, who is also their winemaker. But they all came together to create this cool winery. And they've got a beautiful property. Their tasting room in and of itself was just open a couple of weeks ago. It's been in the works since 2019, but with all of the pandemic and then the supply chain shortages and the cost of materials that shot out the roof, it's taken a while to get it done, but they spared no expense and they didn't want to release it till it was right. And it's right. They put in a lot of cool functionality and features, LED lighting, controls, all kinds of stuff that they have in that tasting room itself. So it is a sight to see. It's beautiful. Again, nestled in this grove of oak trees. They have a lot of outdoor picnic areas, I think from when they had their previous winery area before they built this tasting room where people could sit. But they've got these beautiful decks now built next to the tasting room with chairs and tables and all kinds of stuff there. They have a lot of selection of different types of wines. They have reds, they have whites, they have sparkling, they have rosé. I was able to try several of them, but I think my favorite was the Dolcetto. So I bought an actual bottle of that to keep in my wine library. I'm creating a wine library for this podcast, and I'm going to choose one bottle from each episode, each location I go, to kind of save in my wine library. And I think the Dolcetto was my favorite of all the ones I tried. But they have a lot of greats. I'm a big reds fan, and they have a lot of different great reds that I was able to try, as well as that awesome sparkling rosé. Whoop! You got to try that one. But it is a beautiful tasting room, and they really did a great job, I think, putting that together. One of the cool things as well about this winery is they are family friendly and pet friendly. They have watering holes for the dogs. Your kids can come, and they've got opportunities you'll hear in the interview. They've got some things for them. They've got all kinds of stuff like charcuterie options out there for food. They do have some Capri Suns, Coke, Sprite, stuff like that. So you can actually bring the whole family. And they did say you could also bring in your own food and picnics and things like that. So there's no problem with that. They really want it to be a destination for the whole family to be able to go and enjoy an afternoon. There is a special meaning behind the name. We talk about that a lot during the interview. So you hear a little bit about how they came up with the name of 12 Fires and everything. But what's even extra special as a bonus for you podcast listeners, there's actually a hidden meaning in the logo itself. And that's not something they necessarily share unless you ask. So, the next time you do go visit 12 Fires, you'll have to tell them you heard about this on Texas Under Vine, and you'd like to know the meaning behind their logo, and they'll be glad to fill you in on some of those special meanings they have there. It's one of those special Easter egg kind of things. They do have a lot of big plans. They're growing their winery and their vineyard, and we'll talk about that again in the interview. You'll hear a lot about that. But I guess what I really need to do at this point is go ahead and let you hear from them. So I'd like to hear from the three owners of the winery. Again, this is Zach Hughey, Duke Meadows, and the winemaker Mike Nance. And I'll head on to the interview now. I'm here with Zachary Hughey, and we're here at 12 Fires. So tell me a little bit about yourself and what got you into the wine industry.
Well, I went to school with the other two partners, Mike Nance and Duke Meadows. And basically Duke called me up one day and told me that Mike had been making wine for a couple of years, and then they were thinking about maybe opening a winery, and would I be interested? Since I was the closest to Fredericksburg, living in Austin, and I knew how to drive a dozer and a tractor, I was the first candidate to come help clear the land. So once we got the land going, we went out and got to meet a bunch of other winemakers in the area and really get a bunch of knowledge from them before we got our kickoff, and it just really helped us get going. So that's kind of where we all came from. It was just kind of out of the blue.
And you go back, you said, several years with these guys?
Yeah, we all first met in 1993.
Oh, wow.
So we were in charge of the A&M bonfire from 93 to the end of 96. And so, yeah, that's where we've been friends ever since.
So tell me, Duke, a little bit about your story.
I can answer it a lot of ways. In general, I wanted to own my own business my entire life, but ultimately, I went to Texas A&M after the Corps Cadets. I joined the Air Force, and coming from A&M, we were beer, whiskey drinking mofos, if you will. And what I noticed about wine is wine's a story. If someone talked about a particular wine they were drinking, they usually mentioned where they were and who they were with, and of course about the wine. And the story went on from there, if you will. So, and I love that about the ambiance of the world of wine. And it kind of grew within the realm of my family. My father was very much into wine, so that probably influenced me as well. He wrote a wine book as well. I mean, he's very knowledgeable. So it was just fun learning about wines and experimenting with different viticultures and nuances, if you will. Eventually made it back to Texas, and you start to reconnect with your Aggie buddies. And in that same mindset, I was looking for an idea of owning my own business. I was out of the Air Force, and now I'm an oil and gas guy. I'm still a corporate guy in Houston. I drive out here every weekend. But in that same process, I ran into Mike Nance, who was an assistant winemaker at Barnhart Winery, which is north of Conroe in Montgomery area. And I would go visit him, do harvests with him, watch him make wine, and collaborate. And said, "Dude, we should do this." I said, let's educate ourselves, right? So there's the TWIGA, which is the Texas Wine and Grape Growers Association conferences. So we went to a handful of TWIGAs together. We collaborated for a good 3 or 4 years. I'm Mr. Spreadsheets guy. I'm running numbers. We're meeting people, going to conferences, and looking for land. And the story I tell is, as the hill country was blowing up, it was hard to find good pieces of property. This particular property that we're standing on right now came online because I was looking almost every day. I saw it come on a Wednesday, and I called the owner up and said, "I'd like to come out." So I drove out here Thursday afternoon, and I met the owner, and I walked the land, and I turned to him and said, "I'll take it," mainly because it's 12 acres. But we'll get to that story later as well. I get in the car, I'm driving back to Houston. I call Mike up, and I go, "Well, I bought some land." And he says to me over the phone, he goes, "Oh shit, are we really doing this?" So that was the beginning of our wonderful journey together.
All right. So I'm here with Mike Nance. So first off, just tell me a little bit about what got you into the wine industry.
Terrible series of choices, I guess. I was a wildlife biologist for 18 years. Studied wildlife biology at school at A&M. Went to work for the Fish and Wildlife Service, and then started doing some private consulting. And I had a little more free time on my hands than I thought I would. And just happened to find Bernhardt Winery, was right down the road in Plantersville, and spent too much time there, I suppose, as a customer, and developed a friendship with Jerry Bernhardt, the owner. Started helping with little tasks around the place. And that developed into, working in a vineyard and then, serving wine on the weekends during concerts and just kind of filling in. And then one day I turned around and I was making wine. It was kind of an accident, but it was a happy one. I got bit by the bug again, and this time it really, really took hold. So that was 2014. And then in 2016, I went to California. My wife's cousin worked for a winery over there. She did a lot of marketing for them, and she said, "Hey, come on out and do an internship and learn about California grapes." And I did, and spent 3 months out there during the 2016 harvest. What I'd learned from that experience, among other smaller things, was that the grapes, the wine is made in the vineyard. So if you don't grow great grapes, you can't make great wine. And that's something I brought back here. And so I'm seeking out the best growers that I can, and getting the best grapes that I can, so that I can make the best wine that I can.
Well, tell me about a little bit this location's history. So tell me about how you got started, and what do you think you're going to do with it?
Well, being Aggies and working on the fire, we came up with the name 12 Fires. It was kind of just out there already for us. Duke had found this acreage on 290. We were looking for exposure on 290, and this was one of the last parcels available at the time, and we scooped it up. So we wound up being 12 acres, so it kind of fit the whole story, and that's where we just started from there. Broke ground in 2018, and Mike was out making the wine during that year, and I was out here clearing land, and getting the basic set up, ready to go.
Yeah. And you've got a couple of little small tasting rooms where you started. You started small with some containers, you said?
Yeah. We had a friend deliver us a container. We were under a tent up until that end of that June. When we couldn't take it anymore, he brought us a container with some air conditioning, and then we moved out under the trees and got us another little barn while we were waiting on our main tasting room, which was just open, to get finished up. Part of the reason our location was back here, we were up front at the front gate for a while, and the road noise was just so loud. And we had always loved this little oak grove, and just thought it would be really cool and the way it finally nestled back up in here, it just came out perfect. Yeah, couldn't ask for more.
So you've kind of touched on it a little bit, but is there any story beyond that for the naming of the vineyard? How did y'all come to that conclusion?
Yeah, the 12 fires pretty much came out of us being leaders in the A&M bonfire together. We each facilitated the build of 4 bonfires. There's 3 of us. We wanted the number 12, the 12th man in our name, so that was just a natural kind of progression to go 12 fires. So the 4 bonfires each, there's 3 of us, 12 fires.
Where do you source your grapes from typically? I see you do have some vines here.
Yeah, we've got 2 acres under vine. We've got some Albarino and Mourvèdre that we'll be seeing someday. But we typically started sourcing a lot from East Texas. My winemaker was making wine out that way, so we had a lot of contacts already. So hence that was why we went with a lot of the Blanc de Bois and our Black Spanish, which come out of East Texas. So he had a lot of contacts there, and then we went to the High Plains and basically went to all the vineyards and met all the owners. And so we've got a few of them out there that we're sourcing from there now, and East Texas pretty much. Really like to broaden our profile to represent every zone of Texas. So we would like to give a different kind of grape to represent the entire state of Texas at some point. That's our future goal for our tasting profile.
And what are your favorite wines that you make?
So far, we have a couple of blends that have come out really well. We're sipping on our Dolcetto. That is one of my favorites right now. The Dolcetto came out really good. A Montepulciano just won a silver medal at the International Wine Competition, Lone Star International Wine Competition. Man, our Blanc de Bois is great. It's like a good Sauvignon Blanc. Our Albarino, we made an Albarino. It was phenomenal. So the Albarino, we had a Tannat that was out of this world, and really like those. And so I was, those are my profile. Tempranillo is going to be a staple wine for us. The Blanc de Bois, staple wine. Albarino, and then obviously the Mourvèdre is a good one. But we're getting into Aglianico, Montepulcianos. Those are all some of the ones that my winemaker, and he'll broaden on that, I'm sure. He's got some stuff in the works he hadn't even told me, I'm sure.
So Blanc de Bois, still one of my favorites. Black Spanish, again, was an East Texas variety that I really like, and I still like working with it. It's certainly a acquired taste. Not everybody appreciates the kind of the funkiness of the Black Spanish grape, but I like it, especially as our in the way we make it with our rosé style. It's a big, bold rosé. It's not like anything you've ever tasted. It's kind of a unique wine, and I'm really happy with that.
So that's the second question. One, why did you get in the wine business? 2, what's your favorite wines? And it's interesting, when I was on your side of the table, i.e. a customer, I could easily answer that. I fell in love with Argentinian Malbecs, right? So I like big, bold, long finish, steak wines. But now when you get on this side, you actually start to appreciate wines for what they offer in their own simplistic state, if you will, right? So it depends on the time of day, what meal I'm having, time of year, who I'm with, right? I still like my big and bolds, my Tempranillos, if you will. You got a fantastic Montepulciano. But yeah, here I am drinking a Trebbiano right now, right? It just seemed appropriate for this time and place.
Awesome. So what are some of those popular wines with customers that you've noticed?
We have a Maroon 2 blend. Yeah, that's very popular. You notice some of our names are synonymous with A&M. And then we have our brand new sparkling rosé, Whoop, which we're very proud of. And that one it's a big hit already. But the Tempranillo has always been a staple for us. The Texas Tempranillo is always a good one. Our Prudence rosé also won at the Lone Star Wine Competition, and that's a Counois rosé. It's a very, very good little rosé, and it seems to be the most popular that we've had so far. Our rosés, and then of course our Black Spanish, real bold, different rosé. These are dry rosés, but we both feel they turned out really, really well.
Well, Tempranillo is one that people are always asking for, and I think they've been trained by the industry out here that Tempranillo is our Texas red fruit, which I don't argue with that. I mean, I think Tempranillo wine as a just generally speaking, really goes nicely with barbecue, and Texans love their barbecue. So, brisket and Tempranillo is hard to beat. I think Tannat, of course, is going to be another big grape for Texas. We had a 17 Tannat that was fantastic and sold out fast. And subsequently, it's been hard to find some snot fruit, so I haven't gotten any until this harvest. So we'll have another time hopefully soon. I've been getting Aglianico, Dolcetto, Trebbiano, Montepulciano.
So Zach told me that y'all won a few silver awards for some of your wines. So what were those awards that you won, and for which wines?
We got silvers for the Montepulciano, and then the Dolcetto, which was the first wine that I made for 12 Fires as an exclusively 12 Fires grape. And then Prudence was the other silver medal. That is a Cunoise Rosé with 1% Alicante Boucher, just for a little extra color, and really happy with that one too.
What does a listener need to know if they wanted to come here to do a tasting? So what types of things do you do for tastings? How many wines? What's the fees, the costs, the hours, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so we do 6 tastings for $20. And basically we have a mix. If you've got somebody that doesn't quite know what to do, we like to kind of help direct them into, kind of feel out their palate and let them know, trying to ease them into the wines that I think that will match with what they have. And that seems to be something that works really well. But we like to give them a little direction. It's really easy to get overwhelmed when you walk in and there's 40 wines. So, we just do the 6 tastings, and then I'll dabble here and there if there's something else they might like or I think they might like. Of course, I'm going to give them a couple extras. So we're pretty lax on it, but yeah, 6 tastings for $20. We'll do a 3 tasting because we're one of the first ones on the row. So we will do a 3 tasting for those people that are going to have a longer day and they have to make it back.
What about reservations? Are reservations required, or do you just let people walk in?
No, reservations not required at all. No,
okay.
Everybody feel free to come. You can bring some food with you if you want. We're going to have some charcuteries available. We're still working on that now. We've got our lady with our charcuterie boards today out here. But yeah, you feel free to bring kids, dogs, some food, snacks. Come out and have a good time and relax.
And you've built this beautiful new tasting room. You said it's been open a couple of weeks now?
Yeah, just a few weeks. We just got it open. We had a really good build out. Our contractor did an incredible job. It was just really cool. We put a 3,800 square foot deck out here underneath the trees, and it's just a good place to kind of come hang out. And nice and quiet. And, yeah.
Very high tech, a lot of amenities here.
Yeah, our builder did a whole bunch of cool stuff. We have a noise canceling system, so when it gets loud in the tasting room, I can still have a great conversation with you.
Nice.
We've got lighting systems, the music system. It's all set up for having private events. We have easy hookups for all the bands, and so yeah, we put a lot of thought into having it function well as the tasting room that we wanted.
You talked about earlier with me about wedding parties and things like that. You do events.
Absolutely. We do private events on site, and we will come to you and do some private events. We do those all the time. So if we get a certain amount of people, they went, hey, we come by our big party, talk about your wines. My other partner, Duke, is the one he likes to go out and do a lot of those. So yeah, we do that. We're set up now for weddings. We're getting ready to put in 5 glamping tents. And I mean, these things are huge. These are really beautiful glamping tents. We'll be able to have people on site, and then everybody can stay over the night.
And you talked about your lighting system.
We put an RGB system in that, let's say you wanted a pink and green theme for your wedding, we can color the entire building. So your pictures will be that color. We can actually do reveal parties.
Gender reveal.
Gender reveal. Like the whole place turns blue. I mean, we can do some fun stuff like that. It's really cool to be able to adjust it at night, and depending on the party, we change them up all the time.
Do you offer a wine club?
Yes, absolutely. We have a 3-bottle wine club and a case club right now. We are probably going to move into a 3, 6, and a case club, but we do a mix and then all reds.
How often do those typically ship?
Quarterly.
Okay.
So like today we're having a wine club party, a pickup party, so everybody's coming out. Today we're releasing our new Blanc de Bois, our new sparkling rosé, and our Petite Syrah.
So what goes into a tasting party or a pickup party?
Usually we'll have a band. We have some vendors setting up, some friends of ours that like to come out and set up some of their stuff, and then we'll have the band playing all day, and then we'll get charcuterie, and all the wine club members get to come in and try their free glass of wine for the new release, and then
If a listener were to come in, you talked about this a minute ago, but are you family friendly? Pets allowed? What types of restrictions do you have?
Oh, absolutely. We're pet friendly for sure. We have automatic dog watering stations. Kids can come. We're totally open to anybody and everybody. Nice dogs and nice kids are all welcome. We keep a bunch of Capri Suns in the fridge, so we have stuff for the kids. Yeah, absolutely. And then, like I said, we will be having a charcuterie set up so they can come and get a little tray. Mm-hmm. And so we'll have stuff like that. But we always think of the kids.
Okay.
So we have Cokes and Sprites and waters and little Capri Suns seem to be a big hit with those guys.
Just, do you have any maximum group sizes or things like that for tastings?
No, not at all.
Okay.
The biggest you'll typically see in a one group is like a bus of 50. We can definitely facilitate a bus of 50. That's one that we would want to call ahead.
Okay.
Give us about an hour, and then we'll be able to do that too.
And you get wine tours coming through, so the buses, the things like that, groups.
Absolutely, yeah. We're open to all buses. Everybody
Okay.
wants to come out. Just give us a call and say you want to come. We set up a certain accounts for all of our bus tour guys, so you get a discount for all your groups. So yeah, we're absolutely open to that. We've got a parking lot that has a handicap accessible access, mm-hmm. so you don't have any stairs. You can just roll right in. Nice. So yeah, we wanted to make it open for everybody, but absolutely, tour buses are welcome all the time.
So what are your busy and slow seasons? When's the best time to visit?
Right now.
Right now.
Now's the best time. It starts cooling off.
Yeah.
Everybody, the kids are back in school. Seems like the parents need a break by now.
Yeah.
And it's right before Thanksgiving. So like right now is a really good time to come. The holidays are really good. If you want like a intimate experience right before Christmas, it's great. And you get a bunch of people that want to coming out here and there's no one. I mean, so if it's a real intimate experience you want, that's a great time to come too. So I think, and then plus the hotels, they all get cheaper in the winter. So even the slow season, I think it's some good times to come out for doing that. But during the summer, it seems to get a little hot for people. But now we've got enough air conditioning on site that we should be able to cover that too.
Excellent. So do you do any kind of distribution of your wine? So what if somebody's not able to come to this actual location? Are they able to taste your wines or to experience them in any way?
The only places we're at right now we're at a couple of Specs locations. We have a few Specs locations that we are at, mostly in the Houston area, due to the fact that me and Duke live there. We are in Aggieland Outfitters in College Station to be an Aggie wine. So we got to the Aggieland Outfitters. We go up there before home games and serve our wine on Fridays. So one of us is pretty much up there every Friday before a game, on a home game. And then we're in the Republic Steakhouse right next door.
Oh, excellent.
And Primrose Path, the two right there. But those are pretty much the only places right now. We're so boutique and so small.
I got you.
We're just kind of getting going. Distribution is hard for us, but we do sell online, and we can ship to 34 states. So we have a shipping service that we can ship to all 34 states. The states are listed on the website, so they can all see there. And then we do regular discounts for online shipping, our online ordering too. So if you watch our Instagram or something, you'll always see we'll have a little sale online and go in there and order some more, bring it out to you.
So if somebody's in the wine club, they can either come here to pick up or they can have that shipped to them.
Absolutely, yeah. They can either pick which one they want, and a lot of them want to come out. But then we have the ones that are like, oh, I want it for my daughter or son, and so we'll absolutely ship to them, and they ship out, and it's there in 2 days.
So tell me about your plans for future growth. What you have planned, what you want to do.
We'll be the next phase is putting in our glamping tent area, and then we'll be looking at our winery building. So the next phase will be a pretty big winery building up here on the top of the hill. We plan on cutting into this mountain and building out a little cave. So we're going to do a cave barreling system, which is what we've been looking at since the beginning, due to the coolness of the cave, and we just kind of thought it'd be cool.
Awesome.
So yeah, we're going to do that, and that's the next phase, is moving to the wine production facility, and then eventually we're looking at putting in a really big event center up at the front.
Right.
And that will be a couple of years.
Well, and you mentioned the trailer earlier when we were talking. You mentioned the trailer. You were talking about maybe taking that on the road.
Yeah. So we have this little container bar, and it's a mobile bar, so we can move it around. And eventually the plan would be to take it to a A&M tailgate party. You could order a charcuterie board and pick up your wine. We'll deliver it out there. You come in. You can watch the game inside. You can go outside, but we plan on bringing that out to represent out at Caulfield and Texas A&M area. So yeah, we first place it'll be is probably going to be Aggie Line Outfitters. So we'll see it out in the parking lot out there sometime.
Cool.
Probably next season.
We want this place to be a phenomenal destination, right? Obviously, not just fabulous wines, but a place for people to come, reunions, weddings, just overall vacations, if you will. He probably told you we got our glamping tents coming in about a month or two. So we're going to have 5 glamping tents over here. So we've broken out in 3 phases. So phase 1 is the vineyard, the tasting room, and the glamping tents. And then phase 2, eventually we'll start on our winery production facility. And that'll be over there in that corner. And then phase 3, that hill back there has great views of the valley, which is one of the reasons I told the guy, I'll take it. It's just fantastic. So we want to capitalize on those views. And phase 3, build a bigger event center, a bigger tasting room. This might turn into normal customers, and that might be wine club members only eventually. But ultimately, it's about a 15-year build-out plan, five-ish years. Might turn into 20 years, but 5-ish years per phase, if you will. But yeah, we want this to be a phenomenal Texas wine destination.
From a listener's perspective, if someone was wanting to come out, take a wine tour out here, and they decided to stop in at 12 Fires, what would you say is what's your number one attraction? What's the number one thing that would cause somebody to want to come visit you here?
Comfortable, sophisticated, and rustic. We want the rustic Texas experience. Everything around us is about Texas wine and true to Texas. We're all Texans. We went to Texas A&M. So if you want a really rustic, relaxing experience, that's what we're looking to deliver out here.
Excellent.
Well, kind of back to what we just started about, our story. Honestly, wine is a story, but I think we have a bigger story behind it. And it basically goes like this. Me, Mike, and Zach, we went to A&M. We were in the Corps Cadets, which is, a hard journey in itself. It's very bonding. We were also very heavily involved in the building of the Aggie bonfire. We were called Red Pots back in the day. We were the leaders that helped coordinate all the students in the woods. But the subtext of all that is our lives were hard. It was hard in the military component of Texas A&M. It was hard building this great symbol to beat Texas, if you will. And a lot of that hardships helped basically give us the baseline to do something like this, obviously building a beautiful place in Winery. But kind of back to the story, when I came back to Texas and ran into Mike and I pulled Zach in and said, let's build our own place. Coming up with a name was one of the hardest things to do. Because it's your branding, it's your identity, right? I mean, naming a business is a little difficult than I originally thought. Because all this is like colored by numbers, right? You buy the land, clear the land, plant the vineyard, you get with the architects and you design the buildings. Definitely simplifying, but we whiteboarded and argued for a good while. But 12 and fire just kept bubbling up. And like I said, we ended up buying 12 acres randomly. We are Aggies. It is the 12th man. I was in Squadron 12 in the Corps Cadets at A&M. I started off with 32 buddies at the beginning of my freshman year. At the end of my freshman year, I ended up with 12 buddies because there's a lot of attrition in the Corps. And of course, when bonfire fell, 12 souls passed away. And one was my roommate in the Corps. His name was Chris Breen. He was in Squadron 12 with me. He was the one alumni on stack. They were doing they call it a pot passing, basically giving the next generation the leadership role of the younger generation. So it was a tradition that all the different lineages came back to school to do. And their tradition was to be at the top of the stack and pass their pot to the next person and drink a Pearl Light beer. So, and that's when it came down. I like to think of him as the 12th man on the stack. But again, back to coming up with a name, 12 and Fire just kept coming up as meaningful terms. We said, you know what, it's 12 Fires. And when we sat down with the architects, we developed a lot of subtleties to those 12 souls. So when this whole thing's built out, we'll have some plaques and some ode to those 12 that were basically doing something bigger than themselves. They sacrificed not only their time, but their life, obviously, giving of themselves to something that, again, was to beat Texas. But that really is the premise of all of this, is you're just giving back to the world. It's something better than yourself, if you will. So I think it's our story.
So I did want to review real quickly. They mentioned in the interview that they had entered some wines into the most recent Lone Star International Wine Competition, and they won 3 silver medals, which is pretty great for being such a newer winery to already be getting honors like that on their wine. It really does speak for itself. But they did get silver medals, so again, for their Montepulciano, their Dolcetto, and their Prudence, which is the rosé that he talked about in the interview. What a great story from these 3 college friends who reunited after all having these different various careers and different things that they did, and are now coming together and fulfilling their dream. I was really impressed by their vision, their friendliness, even to a tea-sip like me. I was also very moved by their dedication to their Aggie history and time spent working with the famous bonfire. In 1999, they were closely tied to friends working on the bonfire that collapsed, killing 12 of their fellow students. And as a way to honor their commitment to their fallen friends, as a Longhorn, I'd like to honor their memory myself with a short 12-second moment of silence for those that were lost in that horrible incident in 1999. These 3 guys are honoring their heritage, but are also proud to produce 100% Texas wine. In the interview, they mentioned their growth and building phases. Make sure to check out their website at www.12fires.com. The 12 is the number, not spelled out. And click on the Legacy tab to see all of their planned phases laid out in detail with pictures and drawings and things like that. They're making great progress, and I foresee only good things to come on the horizon for this special location. Go give them a visit and tell the guys you heard about them on this podcast. Well, that wraps up the inaugural episode of Texas Under Vine. I hope you have enjoyed hearing about 12 Fires and are excited to go visit there as soon as you can. I'm excited to bring you news of more great wine destinations in Texas on future upcoming episodes. However, podcasts are not free, and I'm investing much of my time and money into producing these episodes. Although it is a labor of love, I don't get paid to do this. If you're a podcast subscriber and are interested in donating to help with my production expenses, you can find information on the website or contact me by email or on my socials. I also have a Patreon site for the show with varying levels of support available and lots of really cool benefits for supporters, like early access to the show, ad-free listening, things like I'm going to do photos from the vineyards, video walkthroughs, sneak peeks of where I'm going next. So you'll be able to find out before the episodes are released, where I'm headed. Really cool things for Patreons. So subscribe and become a Patreon to Texas Under Vine. Finally, if you're a wine-oriented business interested in sponsoring the show or advertising on it, please get in touch with me. My contact email is scott@texasundervine.com, and you can find me on many social networking sites at Texas Under Vine. Well, I'm calling that a wrap. Subscribe to the podcast and follow my socials to be notified whenever a new episode is posted. Until next time, happy trails and bottoms up, y'all. Thanks for listening to Texas Under Vine. We strive to provide you with the best information about wine businesses all over Texas. Be sure to check out our website at texasundervine.com and follow us on our socials at Texas Under Vine to stay up on all the upcoming episodes. Please email us with any suggestions or feedback. Also, contact us if you're interested in donating, sponsoring, or advertising on the podcast, just to help us cover our expenses and bring even more great info to you in future episodes. Above all, travel safely, and most especially, drink responsibly. Don't forget to also check out the Texas Wine Lover website and their phone app. If you want to plan a trip to the wine destination I talked about in this episode, the site for Texas Wine Lover and their phone app that you can download will really help you organize a trip so you can go see them. You can check out all of the goodness that I got to experience while I was there. But as you're planning your trip, while you're on their website or their app, you can also find out things like accommodations, restaurants, and even some fun events and things that are going on at the wineries, and maybe even find one that you want to experience as part of your wine trip that you never even expected. So check them out. Again, it's txwinelover.com.